Hey there everybody, it's AJ back again for the Mighty Glue Stick channel. I make videos about Dungeons & Dragons lore full-time with a collection of hundreds of monster ecology and strategy videos, as well as quite a few videos on magical artifacts. This is a special video for the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition Book of Artifacts by David Cook, and I'm going to be reading directly from it in regards to Kuroth's Quill, a magical artifact that should put the fear of God into any dungeon master who decides to put this into their game, because you really need to marshal how your players use it. And it's a good example of how to train yourself to deal with wishes when your players get wishes in the game. So I'll read from the text verbatim and with commentary interspersed where I see fit, as is my way. Kuroth's Quill is a quill pen made from a white feather taken from the wing of a full-grown male griffin. The writing nib is made of gold. During the age of Veth, beyond the wasted lands, an apprentice wizard named Ballas, possessing great potential and little discipline, was determined to prove his abilities to his master. On a day when the apprentices were alone, Ballas snuck into his master's study and used his spellbook. He tried what appeared to be a simple summoning, but the spell went awry, and 2 dretches arrived from the abyss. Ballas managed to get them back, but his right arm was mangled, and his best friend, Julian, was killed. Although his arm was later healed, Ballas believed it to be permanently crippled. The torment of his failure and his friend's death became overwhelming. Ballas came to believe that the only way to find peace was to ultimately right the wrongs he had inflicted. So he dedicated himself to amassing arcane knowledge. The drive to correct the situation became an obsession, though, until he was convinced that the only way to succeed was to achieve immortality. Ballas decided to become a lich. Once transformed, Ballas took up residence in a lonely stone tower by the sea. He strove to fix the damages he had done, but nothing ever set them right completely. Over the years, that lich's obsession grew, until a possible solution formed in his mind. For 3 decades, Ballas spent all of his energies researching and creating a writing instrument capable of altering events. When he finished, he believed he could finally set the events right again. All too soon, though, he discovered that each change he made became twisted in some way, and often led to even greater problems, even for someone of his powers. In sorrow and rage, Ballas planned to destroy the quill. One afternoon, Kuroth, an able thief, wandered into an inn near Ballas's tower. He happened to overhear a table of local folk discussing strange happenings at the tower. Upon inquiry, Kuroth learned that during the previous 2 months the stone tower had transformed into a mighty fortress, then smouldering ruins, and then back again into its original form. Seeking the source of these great curiosities, the thief slipped into the stone tower and stole 4 rubies, 1 sapphire, and an engraved ebony box containing the quill and some fine parchment paper. While recording the items stolen, Kuroth accidentally wrote 4 sapphires and 4 rubies. To his amazements, there were now 4 of each gem on the table before him. Kuroth was quick to realize that the pen was the source of the tower's mysterious transformations. Not wishing to attract undue attention, Kuroth immediately wrote, "The previous owner of this pen believes that the quill pen, 4 rubies and 1 sapphire were lost." Not certain this would be clear enough, he wrote, "This quill pen is the rightful property of Kuroth, and shall henceforth be known as Kuroth's Quill." Soon Kuroth sat at the head of the local thieves' guild, and had many interests extending throughout the region. After his death, many of Kuroth's closest associates shook their heads as they told of their guildmaster's strange insistence upon keeping the guild's books and ledgers all to himself. Over the years, the quill pen passed from hand to hand and ended up with a caravan driver. He sold it to Shamana the merchant, mumbling something about how his best team had died from what he had wrote down. Not believing the superstitious man, Shamana promptly shelved it and forgot all about it. 6 months later, his beloved daughter accidentally drowned at the lake. Months later, still bereaved, Shamana wrote in his journal using the quill, "I wish my daughter back at my side." The popular folktale tells of the decayed remains of Shamana's daughter leaving the graveyard. In campaign use, Kuroth's quill has the power to alter the course of a campaign. It is the equivalent of giving a character an unlimited number of twisted wishes. For this reason, the player characters should have limited or no contact with the quill. It's an object that they should strive to prevent anyone else from using as well. To avoid all possible confusion, the DM should have any players actually write down what their characters wish to write with the quill. If a character does not command the pen to write infallibly, and any and all errors written and down by the pen or them are subject to interpretation and substitution by the DM. It is important to remember that no wish is innocent, all have consequences, and there are definite limitations to what Kuroth's quill can do. A possible adventure might have the party returning to a small fishing village after vanquishing a horde of monsters, only to find that it is now a massive fortress bustling with activity. As they unravel the mystery, more events are rewritten, and one of the player characters might even suddenly change or shift, perhaps becoming a member of the king's staff or maybe a lowly stable servant. The player character will not know the rest of the characters anymore and believe that this new life is completely innocent and true. The rest of the group will have to find a way to rectify this, while the DM plays that character as an NPC for a while. Of course, anyone with an inkling of the pen's powers will want to possess it for themselves, so preventing unscrupulous individuals from acquiring it is an adventure in and of itself. The powers of the pen, constant powers, are the user gains the comprehend languages spell as long as the pen is in hand. They can just comprehend languages by looking at them. Any illiterate person that picks up the quill will have this ability for once a day for 1d4 hours. The invoked power of the pen, the user of the quill is able to alter reality by writing it down on a piece of parchment, similar to the 9th level wizard spell Wish. The quill cannot be used more frequently than once every 12 hours or 6 times per week. The pen also draws and or writes infallible descriptions of what the character sees or speaks upon command. The quill functions as an item that can find treasure, usually treasure within a certain distance once per month. The curse of the quill, of course, is that it will grant wishes and alter reality, but there's always a price to be paid. For every boon, there is a bane. Illegible or smudged words are omitted from the request entirely. Misspelled words are substituted to the quill's best ability. For example, if a character writes, "I wish to have a roster for all of the tax players in this county," and accidentally misspells roster as rooster, the player character is going to be overwhelmed with crowing roosters from all the surrounding farms. Even correctly written requests have a monkey paw effect. The pen does not create things, rather it draws upon existing material to grant the wish. It does not create things. If a party requests a vast fortune, they could find themselves teleported in the king's treasury. A wizard might write for a desired magical spell, awaiting in a heap of ancient tomes. At the same time, a nearby kingdom suffers the wrath of an archmage whose library has disappeared. So there's distinct disadvantages to asking for things because it takes from Peter to pay Paul, as they say. Suggested means of destruction of this artifact: the words "Kuroth quill was never made" must be written by the quill 100,000 times. The Lich Ballas must be located, his memory of the pen restored, and it must be returned to him. Or the quill must be taken back in time and given to the apprentice Julian at the moment of his death. A fun artifact for sure, one that I would suggest that you get to know your players pretty well before you introduce something like this into the campaign. Perhaps you could impose on it a few more restrictions on its use. Perhaps a certain character level, or characters must fulfill some sort of a milestone of the campaign before they can unlock the use of the quill once more. Or perhaps the quill has got some sort of baleful cost or requirement, such as the ink that the request is written in is in the blood of a unicorn, or some such horrific price. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll be back with more for you very soon. By the way, for those of you who are interested in some sweet new merch for the channel, I've got a t-shirt design, Vecna Did Nothing Wrong, which you can pick up at my Teespring store. Just head over there, follow the link down below in the description, and you can see some merchandise for the channel there. Thank you very much.